Let's start by performing a fairly generic search that will result in a relatively broad selection of products. Now we can refine the search by selecting our desired product category and focusing in on products that are readily available. Let's optimize our display layout a bit and specify a desired sort order. Normally, we would now have to analyze each product description to determine which ones match all of our stated criteria. So let's introduce our first extension named MultiHighlighter. This extension allows us to specify a list of keywords, and it highlights each matching word on the web page in a different color. Now, it is much easier to see which products match our criteria. Note that this extension is great for a one-off match on a single page, but doesn't automatically carry over to subsequent pages. And we even lose the highlighting when returning to our original page. Fortunately, we have a similar extension with a similar name that suits our purposes better. MultiHighlight has an on-off switch and highlights matching keywords in a similar fashion. But it also stays active when switching between web pages. Sometimes we may need to expand our list of keywords, and the multi-line list makes it easy to track those additions. Using Control-Click, we can open new tabs for a couple of potential candidates. Now, we will introduce the star of this show, an extension named Sidewise. Toggling Sidewise on reveals a separate window listing the full title of each tab in our current session. Notice that the list is arranged as a tree and that the tabs we haven't accessed yet are colored differently. Let's use Control-Click again to open a couple more tabs and observe that they are automatically added to the Sidewise tree. Rather than guessing at the truncated tab titles, it is much easier to select from our organized Sidewise tree. These products require a compatible smartphone app, which will factor into our buying decision. So let's add a keyword match to make that reference easier to find. Scrolling through the web page reveals other potential candidates, but we can easily see that two of them are already on our list. Using Control-Click, we can add another product to our list and notice that it gets added as a sub-branch in our tree. Scrolling further reveals a lot of information that we are going to want to compare when making an informed buying decision. Now we have run across another interesting product that doesn't really match our original criteria, but we want to remember anyway. Still no luck finding a reference to the smartphone app, so let's return back to the top of the web page. We don't want to get sidetracked by these secondary additions right now, so let's collapse this branch of the Sidewise tree. Use the Sidewise tree to move to the next product in our list. Because we have changed our multi-highlight keyword list since this page was originally opened, we need to refresh the page to see all of our matches. A big problem with comparing products on separate web pages is remembering the important information associated with each product. Right-clicking on the Sidewise branch allows us to add a label to the web page's title. The label is bolded to distinguish it from the actual tab title. We can easily add information to this label as we run across it scrolling through the web page. Let's add the name of the smartphone app as well. It would be really great if we could gather all the label information without scrolling through the entire web page. Let's turn off multi-highlight and introduce an even more sophisticated extension named Highlight This. This extension allows for the creation of a truly expansive list of keywords, separated into colored categories, and even allows for wildcard matches. Refreshing the web page reveals an even more extensive list of matching keywords. Even more useful, Highlight This also provides a summary listing of matches. This allows us to create our label without a lot of scrolling and searching. Note that this type of matching requires constantly adding keywords while analyzing many products over a number of searches. So this extension is really useful for ongoing research on a product category or things like job searches. We will show how to add to these keyword lists and how to save and load different keyword lists for a variety of purposes a little later in this tutorial. Now we can expand our sub-branch of secondary matches and continue our labeling. When we come across a new keyword, we can add it to our list by clicking on the Configure Words link. Choose the category to edit and add the keyword to the list. Note that you can set the category name and highlight color here as well. This is how you would build your keyword list over time. Once you have this extensive list, you will be able to quickly analyze and prioritize a large number of web pages in a relatively short period of time. Then you can focus in on the products with the highest potential for greater investigation. Using all these extensions together results in far greater productivity when searching over an extended period of time. Let's explore this new product category and use Control-Click to add a couple more products as sub-branches in our tree. We could just collapse this branch, but let's separate it completely by placing the entire branch in its own folder and giving the folder a descriptive name. Now we can use drag and drop to change the organization of our tree. Let's add more folders so we can break our products into more discrete categories. Add products to the category folder using drop and drag. This process will make it a lot easier to compare apples to apples when we are making purchasing decisions. The results of future searches can be added to each of these category folders over time. If we want to ignore a branch for the time being, we can hibernate it. This removes the tabs from our browser, but leaves the tab titles in our Sidewise tree for future reference. Perhaps the most important feature of the Sidewise extension is the ability to save an entire search session to be reused later on. The specifications for the entire tree is copied to the clipboard, which can then be pasted into a simple text file, which can be saved like any other document. This can also protect you against browser crashes, which can destroy an entire search session. Once we have the data saved, we can use Sidewise to remove entire branches with a single click. We can restore an exported session by calling up the Sidewise Options page and pasting the exported data back into Sidewise. This brings back our entire Sidewise tree, including our customized folders, allowing us to pick up right where we left off. The tree branches are initially placed in hibernation, so we will have to awaken only the branches we want to work on. Keeping some branches in hibernation cuts down on browser resources, while keeping the tab titles accessible for reference. Product pages and job posting can be transitory, so we may want to export the important data for future reference. Before we do that, we may want to extend our highlighting to make specific information easier to find. The Highlight This extension allows us to suppress specific keyword lists from our initial highlighting. This makes the matching process run faster and keeps the summary listing focused on a limited set of criteria. Activating this keyword list and refreshing the web page makes the information that we have deemed as important stand out from the rest. References to these specifications will now be easier to find in descriptions, comments, reviews, and questions. The Highlight This extension makes it easy to save and load customized keyword lists for a variety of purposes. Each Highlight This list can be saved as a simple text file that can be easily restored as the situation demands. Information gathering products like Evernote often supply extensions that simplify complicated and advertisement-laden web pages. Unfortunately, these extensions also remove all of the highlighting that other extensions overlay on the web page. Fortunately, the Nimbus Clipper extension provides a fragment capture option. This allows us to select each and every web page section that we want to export. Most of the article exports skip over sections like user questions and even some comment sidebars. This fragment mode allows us to select as much or as little data as the situation requires. The saved information is presented in an interim window with all of the highlighting intact. From here, it is simple to select all the information and copy it to the clipboard. We are going to use a great information collection product named Rightnote to store this captured information. Because it automatically supplies a properly annotated hyperlink back to the original web page and retains all of our highlights, we can now return to our browser and cancel the interim capture window. Researching products or job listings often requires performing secondary Google searches. Rather than complicate our existing product search, we can simply drag the Google tab down to create a separate browser session. Since we may want to do multiple searches, we are going to simply duplicate the existing Google tab. Note that the Sidewise tree lists this browser session and its tabs separately from our product search session. Much like we did with our product search, we can use Control-click to open tabs for any articles we want to examine. Note that our highlighting is still active and can assist in identifying appropriate articles. YouTube videos should also have their own separate session, which can be started by right-clicking and selecting Open Link in a new window. Pause the video, return to the YouTube homepage, and duplicate it. Specify the search words again to get a detailed YouTube search. Like with our other searches, use Control-click to open appropriate videos in their own tabs. To save browser resources and your sanity, it is important to hibernate this entire branch until you are ready to watch the videos. The Sidewise tree makes it easy to switch between these browser sessions. When we find a web page that is particularly informative, we can drag and drop the tab right into our original product search item, and the tab automatically transfers itself to that session. So, here we have an organized search session that can be saved, restored, and expanded upon until we make an informed purchase decision.